Hey, Trey, did it catch the Israelis by surprise that Hezbollah would launch 100 rockets in on that type of velocity, that type of density? Did you think they're caught by surprise by that?
Yeah, absolutely. And we look where these rockets were fired from. We talked to a resident along the border who indicated these rockets were launched very close to the Israel-Lebanon border, an area that was previously controlled in the past couple of years by Israeli ground forces who had launched this ground operation against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. And so it's quite interesting they're still able to fire these rockets from areas close to the border. And also the Israeli military today saying that the public should have been notified further in advance because there was some intelligence circulating that Hezbollah and Iran were going to coordinate in an attack last night against Israel.
Trey, is there any update from the Gulf states with a potential offensive response?
No updates, but I did hear from the Qataris last night who indicated they shot down a number of ballistic missiles that were fired toward their country. These countries are coming under significant attack. The Iranians, while they can't get off as many of the long-range ballistic missiles, they still have drones and shorter-range missiles positioned in western Iran that allow them to target these countries. But as they continue to get off what they can, we've seen a massive reduction in their ability to fire drones, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles, and B, the Americans and the Israelis going after these launching positions in western Iran. And we'll continue to see this in the days ahead. But you see this video here from the Qataris, a local news agency, as they're shooting down these drones and missiles that are soaring through the skies of their country. And so, again, this will continue in the days ahead, but each and every day that passes, the United States and Israel are decimating Iran's ability to respond. And again, these numbers are going to trickle off as the days continue and Operation Epic Fury continues to inflict heavy blows on the Iranian regime.
Trey, I know you touched on gas prices. How is what's happening there? How long will that affect gas prices here in America? The president yesterday, when he was speaking, he said the International Energy Agency has agreed to coordinate to release 400 million barrels of oil from the reserves around the world. But look at that. Right now, the price of a barrel is about $97. So it's fluctuating. We saw, what, 120 earlier in the week or last week, and then it went down to the 80s. Now it's back up to almost $100.
Yeah, it's a great question. And look, not just International Energy Agency, but also the United States Strategic Petroleum Reserve estimated to release around 172 million barrels of oil. The issue here is ensuring that the markets can stay stabilized while the Persian Gulf is effectively closed. But as these military options for the Trump administration are actually used, and we see the video from CENTCOM going after the boats that could lay the mines from the Iranian regime, the effort here is to try to control this strait and ensure that tankers are eventually going to be able to travel through again. And so there will be uncertain days ahead as this war continues, and the timeline is going to be very important to look at here. But as we can see, the Trump administration is doing what they can, not just for the United States and the petroleum reserve there, but also international countries who have the ability to ease oil markets and basically ensure that consumers know that there are things being done behind the scenes to try and stabilize those markets while the war continues.
All right, Trey, thanks so much. We'll check in with you next hour. So the one thing to keep in mind, too, is that they've lost the ability to regenerate, make short range, medium range, long range missiles. So when they shoot them, they're done. So you can't say where they're bottomless. No, there's a bottom. And how about no money is actually going to the Hezbollah or Hamas, because Iran's been basically cut off. And the other thing to keep in mind, do you remember yesterday when the prime minister said, get ready, Iran, to take this, right, time's coming soon to take your country back?
Yeah, Prime Minister of Israel.
Yeah, Prime Minister of Israel. It's related directly to what's happening. Now reported on the ground, the Besiege, which is a division of the IRGC, the domestic plainclothes, brutal police force that walks around, grabs your phone. If you have anything negative about the administration, they put you in jail. If they find you doing things weren't positive, they kill you. The Besiege, their commander was just killed. They're being targeted. The checkpoints they formed to intimidate the masses, they're being blown up and targeted now. That's why he's saying that. The other thing that could happen, I think is taking place, is arming the civilian population to take their country back.
Which is huge, Ainsley. So the president's back on the road, talking with the American people, making the case. Is really in contrast we were talking before we got on air about the rooting against America from some of these networks and analysts of not supporting our military. I mean, I remember doing a line at 11. My dad's a Democrat. We're attacked, and George Bush gives that speech saying we're going after him. He's like, I'm a Republican now. I'm supporting this administration. I'm supporting my country. That hasn't been the view of a lot of Democrats, but not our president. He's saying that he's not leaving. Our military is not leaving until we finish the job.
We don't want to leave early, do we, huh? We got to finish the job, right? Over the past 11 days, our military has virtually destroyed Iran. It's a tough country. Their Air Force is gone, totally gone. That took the better part of about 3 hours. They no longer have radar. They don't have anti-aircraft equipment. They don't have anything. Their missiles are down 90%. Their drones are down 85%. We're blowing up the factories where they're made left and right. And then after midnight hammering, then we left. We figured that'll be the end of them for a while. But they started again. That's why we got to finish it, right? We don't want to go back every 2 years. We're not leaving until that job is finished, and it's going to be very fast. It's going to be very fast.
He was asked also about the sleeper cells because people are worried about that, how that could affect us, how what's happening over there could affect us here at home if there are the radicals that are here that want to do something to all of us. And he says he's been briefed. He said we have our eye on all of them, all the sleeper cells. He says he's not worried about Iran attacking us on U.S. soil. He blamed their entry into the United States on the Biden administration and says, quote, we've been very much on top of it.
What I don't understand is why we're letting the Iranian tankers leave. They're using the Strait and getting out. Now, part of the reason there hasn't been heavily mined, number one, the president said, warned them. Number two is they don't want to hit their own tankers. They don't want to hit the Chinese tankers. I don't know why we're letting them do what Venezuela was not able to do. So just stop them from being able to export oil, number one. Number two, I think it's really important to point out that we have wiped out their Navy, but the way they're hitting the tankers is through land, which is part of the reason why we have not escorted through the Strait of Hormuz. It's so narrow, it's hard for our destroyers to be able to guard against some of the short-range drones and short-range rockets, and they don't want to make them targets. If one of our ships is disabled in the Strait, it bottles it up and nobody gets through. So their goal is to make the energy prices $200 a barrel in the hope that pressure gets on America to stop. But I am so impressed with our allies who said, no, I'm going to tap our strategic oil reserves, 32 nations, 400 million barrels out there. What did we do yesterday? 172 million out there. Hold on tight. We're about to take down this regime. If anyone doubted what they're up to, they're showing you. They're hitting civilian targets. They're hitting banks, and they're going for oil refineries and oil tanks in Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE especially.